I finished replacing the hardware and running the system checks. While setting the software update program, the assistant sons entered the room. Simmons had returned. I asked him to wait a moment, started the program, and was led to the study. Noah Simmons was much younger than I had expected. I had imagined an older man, a successful executive. Instead, the slim face behind his glasses looked not far from my own age. Early 30s, perhaps. He sat at a desk with a large window behind him. Jeans, an orange t-shirt, casual. He gestured toward a sofa across from him and sat back. The metallic silver sofa looked hard, but it was unexpectedly comfortable. Soon sons returned with drinks, green tea in small round cups. He placed them on the table and left the room without a sound. I explained the changes brought by the upgrade, pointing to the documents. I also mentioned the additional requests sons had raised earlier. I said these might require a significant hardware expansion. Simmons nodded. "If it's just additional installation, please go ahead," he said. "If construction is required, I'd prefer to postpone it." Then he continued. "We're planning to test a pilot version of a new product your company is developing. I hear it will be ready in a few months. It would be better to review further upgrades after we see those results." This was news to me. He said the system could move time forward and backward within a virtual space. I knew such ideas existed internally. It was not a top-secret project, but it had not been announced outside the company. I did not think it was ready for user testing. The head of the development team, he said, was a former classmate of his. Out of personal interest, he had asked to be included as a test user. A prototype demo version had already arrived. He had tried it himself. For now, only basic functions were implemented. Scenarios were fixed. There was no freedom for user configuration yet. Seeing my interest, he asked if I would like to try it later. Testing an unreleased product at a client's home felt awkward, but the system would need verification after the update anyway. Simmons said he wanted to observe as well. I agreed. At the terminal outside the virtual room, I switched the environment to test mode and selected the demo program he specified. The goggles and wristbands were familiar. We stood before the gate and pressed the buttons. The door opened quietly. We stepped inside and moved toward the center, guided by the floor lights. "Test program A2 will now begin." A voice sounded near my ear. The surroundings went dark. After a few seconds, the light returned. The scene felt familiar. Then I realized where we were. The bridge I had crossed that morning, on the way here from the airport. The sky was clear. The wind was strong. High-rise buildings stretched into the distance. One of them, I knew, was the building we were actually standing in. The thought felt strange. I looked to the side. A few meters away, Simmons leaned against the railing, wearing the same clothes as before. "This is the present," he said. "We could choose only one nearby location. I chose here. You can see the whole city. It makes changes over time easier to observe. In full operation, locations and settings will be programmable, as with the current system." He operated his wristband. A large digital clock appeared in the air, showing date and time. "You can change the date here." I suggested using more realistic objects clocks, calendars integrated into the environment, but they said it would feel unnatural in places like the ocean. Voice control would be safer, I thought. In the end, users would probably choose such a setting themselves. "Let's go back 10 years first." He changed the date. The scene dimmed, then brightened again. "Not much difference," I said. Simmons pointed behind me. "You see, there's no passage leading outside from the second floor of the airport. That was built only a few years ago. The road I had walked yesterday was gone. The hotel was not there either. Still, the overall impression was similar." As a virtual experience, it lacked impact. Even the current system could adjust surroundings to some extent. Let's push it further, he said. This demo allows movement up to 100 years. Let's try 100 years back. The clock appeared again. The year changed. Darkness. Then light. We were no longer on the bridge. Grass grew underfoot. I heard water flowing. A riverbank, perhaps. The bridge itself had not existed 100 years ago. Buildings were visible in the distance, but none higher than 20 stories. 100 years makes a difference, I said. Yes, but this is still within recorded data. It's just reconstruction. The real strength is creating environments from periods with no records at all. Next, he said, was the future. Since we can, let's go to the limit. 100 years ahead. I thought it would be harder to construct the future than the past. The scene darkened again, but it did not brighten. It stayed dark. I wondered if it was an error. I looked around. Faint lights. Huge shadow-like shapes moving, indistinct. From a distance, Simmons approached slowly. He seemed to drift. I forgot, he said. The parameters from the last test were still in place. Parameters? Yes. There are infinite variables that define the direction of a future. I set one of them rather extremely. Last time we tested only 5 years ahead, so it didn't change much. He reached toward drifting particles of light. It seems that in 100 years, this planet is destroyed for some reason. We're floating in space among its remains. He laughed. If this were truly our future, the inhabitants would need to start preparing to flee now, though the probability of this outcome was less than 0.1%. So this isn't an error, I said. The system is functioning as intended. As I tried to walk, I felt no gravity. My body floated. The test ended, and I left Simmons's home. He walked me to the door and said he looked forward to the pilot installation. I told him it would likely be handled by a specialized department, not me. Sons was nowhere to be seen. As I passed through security and exited the building, I wondered whether Simmons's interest in virtual systems was truly personal or tied to his work. That night, waiting for my flight at the airport, I checked my work messages. There was one from my supervisor. Training for the new system had been scheduled on the planet where the research institute was located. User testing would begin in 3 months. Noah Simmons was on the list. The installer was me. Normally, installation was handled by a specialized team. This time, Simmons had insisted on limiting access to his home, for security reasons. The departure for the research institute, on planet D152, was next month. I had planned to take a vacation then, a resort trip. The hotel was already booked. I had planned to submit the request after returning from this assignment, but the institute said this was the only possible schedule. I sighed and began to cancel the hotel reservation.